Today, we're taking it conversation style here on My Green Couch, and we're chatting all about brand photo shoots. So what are they? Why are they different than a portrait photo shoot? And why your business needs one. Hi, and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Kristen Fulci, the brand strategist, website designer, and commercial photographer for creative small businesses. Today, I am breaking down brand photo shoots. So what are they? What's the difference between a brand photo shoot and a portrait photo shoot? Why is there such a difference in price, and why you need one for your business? So let's get started. Today we're going to do it a little bit differently. There's no 1, 2, 3 tips. We're just kind of chatting and having a conversation over real coffee as if you were here sitting next to me. This is still actually boiling hot, so I haven't been able to take a sip just yet. But I wanted to get into the conversation and chat with you. So a brand photo shoot is a photo shoot that's centered around your brand, which you could probably have guessed. But that doesn't mean that you're just saying, hey, we're taking a photo shoot because I'm a web design company and I need some new photos. We're saying, what does your brand represent? What do we want people to feel when they interact with your brand, when they see your brand? What do we want them to know about your brand? And we're kind of pulling everything together and planning a brand photo shoot. With a portrait and lifestyle photographer, it's a little different. When you first hire them, they're gonna go ahead and schedule a location with you. You're gonna pick out your outfits on your own. They might have some kind of magazine or something that's gonna be sent over to you. And when you go, they're gonna basically show up with their camera. They have some great poses in their pocket that they can kind of tell you what to do. They're gonna shoot, they're gonna go home and edit, and you're gonna have awesome photos either of like a lifestyle session or you and your husband or whatever the topic is for the photo shoot. For a brand photo shoot, there is a lot of planning that goes into it. The photographer isn't simply showing up and just taking photos of you there. The planning part means that we're going back a few weeks before your actual brand photo shoot, and we're chatting about the reason why you're scheduling it. So what are we using it for? Are we using it for social media? Are we using it for your website? Are we using it for advertisements? What do we want people to feel or to get out of seeing those images, right? What do we want them to know that your business does? What action do we want them to take? All of these things are kind of being taken into consideration as we start to plan out your photo shoot so that we know where we want to schedule it, what types of shots we want to have of you, what crops we want after we're done with editing. All of that is kind of taken into consideration. More than that, we're planning around your brand, meaning your brand colors, your brand emotions, your brand textures and patterns, and all of the props that are going to be going into your photo shoot or the location that we're shooting at all has to match those brand colors, emotions, and textures and patterns. So if you have a light, bright, and airy brand with white backgrounds everywhere and like just crisp images that you're known for, we're not going to go and shoot in a dark coffee shop that might have wood in a lot of places. We're also not going to go and shoot outside where there's lots and lots of green if your primary brand colors might be white or black or blush. We're taking all of those things into consideration when we're planning your brand photo shoot. So those colors, those core emotions, those textures and patterns, especially when we're curating the props that are in your photos, right? So even if we're just taking my brand, for example, we're really intentional about where we're shooting. So my brand consists of a lot of whites, blacks, pops of green, and some pops of metal. And that's the reason why we're shooting on a green couch with a white background, with pops of metal, with the frames, little bit in here with the pillows that also has black in it. I am wearing black pants with a white and black shirt. So all really intentional to bring color into your brand photo shoot, now into videography, so that you are creating that cohesive and consistent brand. All of this planning happens ahead of time, before the photo shoot day even happens. We even talk about what you're wearing, like I just mentioned, breaking things down of the different outfits. I was advising a brand photo shoot just a couple months ago, and she was like, well, do I wear jeans, Kristen? I was like, well, blue is in your color palette, so you can. And then another person that I was speaking to was like, well, can I wear jeans? And I was like, no, we have no blue. We have no blue in your color palette. If that's, we're doing like a full body shot of you, we're getting a good portion of you with blue and with jeans, and that's gonna throw things off. Colors represent emotions. You spent all of this time working on developing this really consistent deep dive brand, right? When you worked with your brand strategist. So we need to make sure that all of that pulls through into imagery. Imagery is the biggest thing, right? Like that we're seeing on a website. Like first and foremost, before we look into copy, before we may even look at somebody's logo, the main thing that we're seeing on Instagram, so your brand must come through in your photos, and all of that intent and planning is what's going to get us there. At the actual brand photo shoot, another big difference is, like I mentioned before, the lifestyle photographer has some great poses, like, you know, that they can always pull from, that's gonna work for you. They might kind of work with you and your personality and be like, okay, pose like this or pose like this. The brand photographer is going to be thinking about the purpose of the photo shoot. So what do we want people to feel, and what do we want people to do? What action do we want them to take when they're seeing this photo, right? So if we're trying to do an advertisement, we're gonna shoot from different angles. We might be looking to say, okay, we want to encourage people to, you know, start writing their own copy, and you're a copywriter. We're gonna have you writing, but we're gonna do a really up close shot of that beautiful sharp pencil on crisp paper. So there's different things that we're taking into consideration, not just necessarily always photographing you and your face and up front and here, or like a really fun, you know, haha laughing shot. Those are really great, but once you start to incorporate them on your website and on your Instagram feed, you kind of need a mix of different things, because you're communicating a different message on different pages of your website. You're communicating a different message every single post that you post, whether to Instagram or to Facebook. So all of that needs to be taken into consideration. When we're at the actual brand photo shoot, let's say we're doing it at your house or your studio, we're also taking into consideration the small bits of location that are in that studio or that are in your house. So if you are a web designer, like I am, we will not be shooting in your kitchen. It might be gorgeous. It might be amazing. We might think that that's gonna have the best background for a headshot, but it communicates something completely different than what you do. So you're gonna get those images back and you're gonna be like, well, this looks like I am a lifestyle blogger, and I am not. So we're taking into consideration all of those small spaces that you have in your studio or in your house and what's gonna work best for you. So if you do work one-on-one with clients, we might be taking a picture on a really nice couch that you have, showing that you're communicating with them on a laptop. But we'll also be using areas like your studio or your computer or your desk to make sure that we're communicating the right thing. So there's so much thought, so much planning, so much detail that goes into the brand photo shoot. So those are some of the differences that you can expect just in preparing for the photo shoot ahead of time, with the differences between a lifestyle photographer and with a brand photo shoot, and kind of having somebody to walk you through every single step of the process, every part of the way when you're hiring a brand photographer. If you don't have the luxury of having a brand photographer that's local, you can't find anyone, you have a couple of different options. One, if you worked with a brand strategist ahead of time, they are most likely going to be able to offer you brand photo shoot advice. So while they might not be there physically with you, they'll be able to talk to a lifestyle or portrait photographer, do all of that intentional planning ahead of time, and communicate the different types of poses, shots, the feeling, the props, all of that to a lifestyle photographer that's local to you, that you know. So there's a really great collaboration that can happen there between your brand strategist and a local photographer. If you don't have that option and you are not really wanting to get in front of the camera, but you want to make sure that you have some great on-brand images, you can also ship your products or any props that you have to a brand photographer. So that's one of the things that I offer. So you do not have to be local, you do not have to be located in South Florida at all. And whether you're a product-based brand or a service-based brand, we can take cohesive, beautiful, stunning on-brand photos for you. So I'll give you the example. If you're a product-based brand, you'd send all of your products my way, any that you want to take, whether it's a new collection or your base collection that you're just wanting new shots of. We'll discuss whether we want them to be product shots or lifestyle shots. We want a model incorporated, a whole planning conversation that I mentioned before happened, and then we'll shoot according to your brand. The same goes for a service-based company. So even if you don't have products, you don't have anything to ship over to me because you don't sell something physically, you sell your services, you sell working one-on-one with you. What you can send over is any props that you do have that you use every single day in your office that represent your brand. Even if you don't have anything, or even if you send over 2 items, what we do is we curate props for you. So that means we're pulling things from our prop warehouse, we're going out, we're sourcing props that work perfectly for your brand, that include those colors, that include those emotions, those textures, those patterns, to create the perfect prop collection to begin photographing for you. We can involve models so that we can have their hand, we can have the backs of their heads. We can still incorporate that human touch into your images, as well as styled shots that showcase your service-based company and what you do without having to have you in it and without having to have a model. So if any of those are other options for you, you can definitely reach out below. But we're going to move into pricing differences. So that's another major difference that you can kind of find between a lifestyle photo shoot and a brand photo shoot. So the lifestyle photo shoot doesn't have as much planning ahead of time, doesn't have as much knowledge and guidance on brands and core emotions, how to bring those to life through images. There's kind of a difference, one in experience and in the type of companies or people that they work with, but two, in just the main thing, the amount of time that's kind of taken into consideration when we go into planning and then the actual shoot and what you're getting out of it. Now moving into why you need a brand photo shoot. So why can't you just DIY it? Set up a tripod, take some photos, grab your camera, move some things around, set up some semi stock photos, brand photos that you can shoot for yourself. Doing all of that is definitely possible, but there's the key piece missing of incorporating your brand. So making sure that those core emotions are brought in, that whole thought, that whole planning is really brought in. And that's the reason why you hired out for a designer, right? To bring that knowledge piece in. Spending an entire day or days taking all of these photos and shooting them and editing them and learning to DIY all of this, it's a lot of time, right? Which is okay. If you have a lot of time, you can totally invest in it. But once you put them up on your website, once you post them to social, if they are not working for you and they are not able to get people to convert, to purchase, then you are actually losing money. You spent all of the time DIYing it. You spent all of the time taking the photos and editing it. You have them up and you're not able to get sales, and you're not able to get people to take action because of the quality of photos, maybe because the emotion or the action isn't coming through. Maybe it's just simply not communicating the correct message. When you're working with an experienced brand photographer for your brand photo shoot, you're getting images that work for you. So you're able to post them to your website, post them to your social feeds, and actually communicate a correct message, communicate a consistent feeling. And we all know consistency is key for showing up for your brand, right? And you're allowing people to convert, to take action, and those images are working for you. You're able to make back your money on those images instead of just having them sit there with no action being taken. And it then becomes worth it to invest in a brand photo shoot, especially if those images are going to be something that you're going to be able to make money on, that are going to work for you, that are going to bring in customers or inquiries. So I want to start a conversation with you now, the same way as if you'd be sitting over here on my couch. These are the things I'd be talking to you about if we brought up the topic of brand photography. But what questions would you ask after this? Would you end up scheduling a brand photo shoot? Have you before? Have you seen that difference between DIYing it or working with somebody that maybe doesn't know as much about brand photography, and then actually scheduling the brand photo shoot? I'd love to hear from you below. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.